Okay, in this step we're going to be showing you how to replace a control switch on a WS-69TS or TB range hood. And the first thing we need to do is actually go ahead and remove the control knobs. But before we do that, we've already actually made sure that there's no power going to the unit, as we're going to be dealing with the internal wires. So make sure there's no power going to the unit just to avoid any injury. So once we have that turned off, then we can continue. So the first thing we're going to do is actually remove this this knob right here, and it's actually being held in place by one set screw. And as you can see, we have one opening on each of the knobs. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and use an Allen key to loosen up the set screw. Now we're not going to take it completely all the way out because it is a small set screw and you don't want to lose that. So we're just going to loosen it enough to where we can work out the actual knob itself. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and set it in. Turning it. Okay, now that we have the set screw loose, now we can go ahead and start working out the knob. As you can see, I'm kind of rocking it back and forth just to have it come right out. There you go. See? Now the set screw is loose. Now we can go ahead and take out the knob. And as you can see, there's actually two screws right here that are holding the actual control switch that's on the internal part of it to this plate right here. So that's why we're actually going to go ahead and gain access to this first, so we can go ahead and remove these two screws. And the same thing goes for the other side, depending on which switch is not working. So for this video, we're actually going to be working on the power switch. So as you can see, we got two screws in there. We're going to go and get those off, and then go back to the internal part of the range hood. Okay, now that we removed the two screws holding in the control switch, now as you can see, now it's actually now it's ready to be replaced. Now from here, we're actually going to go into the internal part of the range hood itself, and you're actually going to be removing the three screws, which we already made a video on that step. So we're just going to go ahead and continue ahead. So you can see, now we have access to the internals, and this is the control switch we're actually going to be replacing. So I'm just going to go to grab it from the base, and as you can see, now we can go ahead and replace it with the new one. Now when replacing it with the new control switch, you're going to want to make sure that you do transfer these clips one by one, so you don't get confused on the orientation of where they're supposed to go. So just go ahead and once we have the new one, we're going to go ahead and transfer each clip singly. Now these you can just actually go ahead and then pull on it slightly and then transfer it to the new one, like so, and then place it on the new control switch. Snap it in place. There you go. And from here, you would do this for both wires on the new switch. Go ahead and place it, line it up back in its proper location. And from here, you can go ahead and grab the two screws, line them up in here, tighten. So it's hand tight. You don't have to over tighten everything. You don't want to strip anything out. Everything just needs to be hand tight. And once we get back there, then we'll continue with reinstalling the knob itself. Okay, now as we've already reinstalled the screws holding the switch, everything's hand tight. Now we can go ahead and reinstall the actual knob on the control switch. Now what we're actually going to do is you're going to notice that there's a flat side on the actual pole itself. Now you're actually going to want to go ahead and line up this line, or the set screw opening, so that set screw is resting on top of this flat side. So we're going to go ahead and go in a diagonal fashion, so it's lined up with this with the flat side, and we're going to go ahead and push it in. Okay, as far as we can go, and there you go. The knob has been installed. Now we're just going to go ahead and re-tighten the set screw, and just make sure that you don't over tighten anything. Everything just needs to be hand tight. So we can just go ahead and hand tighten that, and once that's set, then the control switch has been replaced and the knob has been reinstalled. And as you can see, everything is ready to go.